Hey guys, this is Melin, music composer, and if this is the year that you are finally going to take your video game music business seriously, then buckle up, because I have 3 things that you should do as a game composer in 2025. This is how you're going to get more gigs. Let's jump right in. I'm excited. Number 1, reach out to game developers. So if you do this regularly and diligently, a small percentage of those you reach out to will hire you. Now, of course, this is a numbers game, but it's also a quality game. So you can't just send junk to people and expect to get hired. So you can't just copy and paste a simple email and like a script and just send it to everybody and hope something happens. No, this has to be customized. It has to be a real pitch customized to the game developer. So let's chat through a little bit of how I research and how I reach out to game developers. So over here is the actual real chart that I use. It's just a Excel spreadsheet. It's a Google Sheet. And I actually share this with my assistant. And I've been doing this for years. And I don't even have my entire history here, but I've done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. But basically, we put the name of the game, we put what we're looking for, if it's music or sound effects that the game developer might need, any pertinent information like developer, publisher, the game engine, the release date, do they have social media, Steam, website, press kit, email address, do we know for sure that they're even looking for someone. Basically, we go through and we contact. So I do all the contacting because I'm the composer, and it's very important that there's a personal touch to all of these. Have kind of a color coding system here. Always have a constant generation of leads, because this is how I actually reach out and talk to game developers. It's very important for keeping the machine running and constantly reaching out and connecting. And here's a quick tip that I've learned, having done this for many years now, of what types of emails work and what doesn't work. Something I've learned over time, which I wish I had learned 20 years ago, with emails, always make sure that it's as short as humanly possible. And so like as few words as possible. I'm talking like 100 words or less. And it should be extremely clear and simple, but you should also have one ask in there. Otherwise, What are they going to do with this? I'm in a position now that I get a lot of emails per day, and some of them are from composers, some of them are from game developers, what have you. But I'll tell you what I don't tend to respond to is when someone gives me their life story. When someone shoots me like a book, all these paragraphs, even if it's the sweetest thing in the world, sometimes I'll reply to those because I'm like, okay, they really, really need a response. But you get what I'm saying, that it's just an overwhelming thing. And they send me links and links and links, and they attach MP3s, and it's like, what do they think I do all day? Like, what? Yeah. Who thinks I can read this, let alone respond to it? So, and Matt helps me a lot with that. So and he can attest. There's just sometimes these ridiculous emails. It's like, what the heck? So you gotta think from the game developer's side, like one sentence, maybe 2 sentences. Who are you? What do you want? And then if you can get that down to being clean, but also kind, man, you're going to open up a lot of doors. Next up is number 2, sell video game music packs. This is something that I've been preaching for years now. And basically, it's selling your music as a product for passive income each month. And there are 4 marketplaces to do this on. Unity Asset Store, Unreal Marketplace, which is now rebranded as Fab, itch.io, and Game Dev Market. Now, why does this matter? Well, take a look at my video game music pack income for the last 4 years. It has hovered around the $20,000 to $40,000 range every year. There's been a small dip in the last couple years, but all in all, it's pretty strong. And so my 4-year total has been right around $120,000. So that is, it's not all of my business. It's about 1/3 of my business, but it's something, right? That's pretty significant for a passive income source that I just do the work once and then I can get that income. And there's so many other reasons that you want to have video game music packs out there anyway, besides the income. Let's take a look. Next reason is this builds credits and it leads to game devs reaching out to you. So as far as credits go, take a look at my credits page and you'll notice something. I have definitely written custom music and soundtracks for games such as Monster Sanctuary, Aethermancer, Beard Blade. But here's the thing, a lot of these games are from video game music packs. Frogbound, Wild Keepers Rising, Garden of Aiden, Yester Soul, Avalon Arena. These are games that the game devs purchased my music, licensed it, and then they used it. And what's cool about that is they actually let me know about these games, or I found them in my game dev research. And now I can add them for my trailer credits, and I can add them like down here as additional music. I can put all these different games that my music has landed on. It builds credibility. And this stuff is happening every single day as people buy my music packs and they use them in their games. If you're interested in releasing your first video game music pack, but you just don't quite know all the steps to do it, I have a course called 7 Steps to Release Your First VGM Pack. I highly recommend you check it out. There's a link in the description for you. And essentially, it's kind of your one-stop shop to walking through those 4 marketplaces, what you have to do to prepare the materials. And you'll see right here exactly what the 7 steps are and how you can walk through all of that. And it's not just creating the music itself. There's actually the marketing side. There's the creation of your profiles and the actual asset, the product itself, and how to walk through all of the product creation side, the artwork side, and the SEO, kind of making sure that when people are searching for it, they're going to find exactly what you have and not someone else's. And it's going to be a perfect fit for their project, which of course leads to more games if they have a successful experience with you and they're ready to hire for custom music. It's amazing. And now for a quick word from one of our Video Game Music Alliance members who has an incredible story about how his video game music packs led to a dream composing job. Check it out.
My name is Bryant. I joined earlier this year, and the first thing that really caught my eye was how cool it is that you can make asset packs that video game developers can buy on Unreal, Unity, itch.io, Game Dev Market. Using Steven's courses on making video game music packs was super easy. It was very detailed. Some really important things to look for after your pack is out, some ways to market your pack, and then even above that was even just how you need to represent yourself as a video game composer. Through the process of that, I made 2 packs. That second one had been up on the asset stores for about 3 months. I got a note through my website through a man named John Romero. He was one of the first of the crew to make Doom, the original Doom. He had reached out on my website to hit me up about doing some composition for him on his upcoming game. And also through that process, he has since hit me up and asked if I would like to continue working with him. So we're looking at more work coming my way into the new year. A lot of other sources have come through just because of the video game packs. When the time came that John did hit me up and these other video game composers that have hit me up since, I was ready and I knew how to handle a lot of this stuff and handle it with confidence. And now I'm looking at being a full-time video game music composer when I didn't suspect that would be happening so quickly, but a large portion of that is honestly through Video Game Music Alliance.
Next up, document your journey. Unfortunately, this is the one of the 3 habits that most composers don't want to do because it doesn't really have to do with music. It actually has to do with branding and marketing. But I gotta tell you that this habit may be the most profitable of all 3. It's just the least fun to do maybe, but it also has the longest term effects. So documenting your journey is simply showing the world what you did today. You can do this on YouTube, social media, live streaming, etc. This leads to game devs reaching out to you because you are now right in front of them, showing what you can do. It's like a demo, right? You're actively showing the world how good you are at what you do and how passionate you are about your craft. And that always translates into game developers reaching out to want to work with you at some point. This is also a great way to grow your audience and sell valuable products to them. And you can couple this with things like an email list so that you can start nurturing your audience over time. And then when you have a product to sell, aka a video game music pack, or maybe a course or any other material you might have that can help people out, that's the place to sell it, because then it becomes a private one-on-one conversation with those developers or with other composers, whoever your audience is. And it becomes an incredible way to create a system and not just a random one-off situation, right? This is something that is repeatable because it's a process, it's a system. Every single time you post your content, you're actually attracting more people into your world, your ecosystem. Now, before I go on, I have to share 2 stories from members within our Video Game Music Alliance community, and each one of them had a really cool experience after they shared their content online. And check out what happens when game developers reach out.
Reached out to me just like from YouTube, from my email, and just wanted to schedule an interview. And then we had an interview, and then he gave me a demo. Like he's like pitched me a demo for this. He sent me footage of this laboratory area from the final area of the game. He's like, please write me a theme for when you come into this laboratory. And then he gave me a description of what is going on when you get into this laboratory. And it was gameplay and everything with effects. So I wrote a demo and sent it to him, and I got hired. So I've been working full time on it. I'm going to be doing like 80 minutes of music.
The truth is, I'm actually a hardcore beginner when it comes to like music tech and stuff. I went to school for music and all that, but I used to always avoid the tech at all costs. I am working on 2 projects currently. I officially started like composing in May, like the beginning of May, and I wasn't really planning on like landing any gigs anytime soon. I thought it was going to be like 1 or 2 years before I landed my first gig. But what happened was I uploaded a little like MuseScore, like MIDI file, like one of my compositions onto YouTube, just to get started, just to like start building my portfolio. And this game dev, he comments and he says like, hey, this is an interesting composition. Are you like open for commissions right now? And he commented within the first like hour of me posting that video. So I was like, what? I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like in my mind, I was like, there's no way I can't do this right now. But I replied, I tried to act like I knew what I was doing, and I was like, yeah, I'm writing music right now. Email me at this email and let's talk more about your project and stuff. And yeah, I had to like figure out what DAW to use. I had to start learning about like plugins and libraries. And recently I landed another gig because there's like a Japanese game developer meeting over here, like a network. Yeah, this guy emailed me because I had introduced myself as a composer in the Discord. I have those 2 things going on right now, but the reason why I joined the Video Game Music Alliance is because I need a lot of help. Like I'm just starting off, but I've also like already landed gigs, and so like
Incredible.
yeah, I need a ton of help.
Isn't that so cool? I mean, both of those stories are incredible, but here's the best part. Both of those guys are just normal, ordinary, everyday composers. They don't have big followings. They're not super popular online. They don't have a ton of credits to their name. These are literally just everyday guys who posted their stuff. They posted their music, their video game music online, and the right people saw it, and that led to jobs. And this is literally how it works. There's a little bit of luck involved, but mostly it's just being present. And then when game developers see your stuff, they want to reach out and work with you because you're the real deal. You're authentic. You're not just making up junk. You're actually serious about doing this. And I just love it. It's great. A quick bonus habit is to work with other composers. So you may not have considered this before, but connecting with other composers to help fill the needs in their workflow is actually perhaps the easiest way to get into the industry. Because maybe you're having a hard time finding game developers who want to work with you. Maybe you don't have any credits, or maybe you're just not super confident in your skill set yet. Well, one of the best ways to get in is probably to work in arranging or orchestration, sheet music, recording, production, mixing, or administrative tasks. These could be research, budgeting, operations, etc. And in fact, this is how I got my start. I worked with composers, in my case, remotely from Hollywood. And when I moved back to Atlanta, Georgia, that was the best thing I could find. And honestly, it taught me so much about the business side. And I actually did more administrative tasks than anything. And it got my feet wet learning how to research and how to budget and do these types of things that are kind of the everyday, ordinary, composery things to do. And then I continued working on my chops in the skills above that. But that's how I got my start, and it might be a way that you get started too.
I believe, and now that I've heard it from so many A-list composers, I think half of your work, especially starting off, maybe even more than half, can come working with other composers. Because A-list composers in particular are the busiest people on the planet in the music space. They have so much work they can't keep up. They have so many requests that if you can become an assistant or an orchestrator or a copyist or a musician that records on their scores, you become friendly, not to get something from them, but if this can naturally, genuinely happen, then over time, projects come your way in different capacities. And that whole networking thing that we don't love to talk about, it does naturally happen. And over time, like in my case, I'm not an overnight success by any means. I've been doing this for 15 to 18 years, depending on how you call my start. So it makes sense that over time, if you've developed relationships that have started, in the case of the guy I just worked with last week, that was an 8 years in the making, maybe even 10 years in the making relationship. It's not like projects happened overnight. You have relationships, and then you have these little connection points where you see them at a conference, and then you help them out with this little tiny gig. And then I think of this person when a gig comes my way that's a better fit for them, and then I give them a gig, right? These are the types of things that naturally over time build nice relationships.
All right, now it's your turn. If you're not already doing these habits, pick one and focus on it for the next 3 months. Once you've established one as a habit, add another one. And then once you're doing all 3, focus on how to improve each one, because this is not like a one and done kind of thing. These are habits that we're trying to form that will actually create the rhythms and the systems that will constantly generate you more gigs throughout the year and keep you busy in a healthy way. That way you're always getting new work, you're always establishing new relationships, you're always building your credits and your portfolio, and you're actually growing a business, because that's what we're in here to do. So here's an example of how I do all 3 of these, just to kind of give you one person's perspective on how I implement all of these things at the same time in my weekly schedule. So when it comes to reaching out to game developers, I have a very simple system. My assistant compiles every single week a list of highly qualified leads, and we have a predetermined criteria of what that means, and it has changed over time. But essentially, it has to do with genres that I'm the most interested in. It's games that look and feel like the quality of the price that I charge. It usually has to do with larger teams versus smaller teams. It has to do with second or third project games versus first-time solo indie devs, because that's where the budget is at, that meets my needs. It's where the quality is at. It's where the time frames are at that make the most sense for me. And so we have that list of criteria. And so my assistant will go through every single week and he'll find a few that hit all of those check boxes. And then every single Monday, I start my week by reaching out to these game devs with a customized, genuine message to connect. Sometimes I'll put music in there. Sometimes I'll even write a little demo just to kind of show my excitement for the project. Other times it's just kind of starting a conversation. But in all of those cases, it's a customized, personalized email or a DM in some cases. And it's always meant to be genuine. It's not just some copy-paste script. You might want to start with a script, but you always adjust it to be personalized. And then in some cases, these actually lead to follow-up calls where we can negotiate business and start working together. In fact, this just happened again last week for me, where I reached out to a game developer who I thought was making a really cool game. Turns out it's a team of 9 people. And I reached out, and then within 30 minutes, he got back to me. He's like, awesome. You sound like a great fit for our project. Let's schedule a call. So we had a call about a week later, and boom, that was the call from last week. And hopefully we're negotiating that contract right now, and hopefully it goes through, and boom, another gig. But not just another gig, another relationship, another awesome experience to work with a game development team that I'm actually really excited to work with. So this isn't the way it always happens, but it happens enough that it's worth doing and making part of your habits. Number 2, selling video game music packs. So you guys might know I have a weekly live composing show. It's a weekly live stream on YouTube where I'm writing music in front of a live audience. But what you may not know is half of the time these tracks are not even used. They're meant for commercial projects, but they get rejected or completely thrown out. So what I do is I put them in a folder that my assistant, every quarter, he'll go through and he'll actually organize them into new video game music packs, or he'll put them on top of previous packs and update them. Or in the case of my largest pack called Game Music Treasury, he'll actually add them to that as well. And what this is doing is it's creating passive income, it's adding credits to my list, and it's attracting more game developers that are going to reach out to me. It's amazing. And then last is documenting my journey. So every week after my live composing show, which is already a form of documenting my journey because it is a live stream, right? People are already there in the community and we're doing all that. I also share the finished results on social media. And then after that, or throughout the week, I will share little short screen recordings, or maybe I'll just take my phone and just, I'm in the studio, and I'll just do a post or a little video, YouTube short, whatever. It's kind of showing, what am I doing today? What did I do today? Because I promise you, there's enough people out there, especially game developers, they want to see that. They don't always need the final product. It's so good for them to see the process, because that's just as valuable. And what it does is it helps put my name at the top of those clients' minds, current and potential clients, right? Because they follow me on social media, or they might see me on YouTube, right? And it's a really cool system to have all of these things going for you at the same time. So here's one more example that I want to bring to your attention. Maybe all of those things sound overwhelming. And maybe you actually need like a bit of a shortcut, or an incubation chamber, so to speak, where you want to do all these things as fast as possible to get work as fast as possible. Well, consider game jams. Because what a game jam is essentially, it's a group of people making a game in a very short period of time. And if you've never seen game jams before, you can actually join them online right now. There's actually a ton going on right this second. I recommend you click the link in the description to go to the game jams on itch.io. Here's what it looks like. So right now, just this site alone, there's 4 game jams going on, and each one closes on a certain date. So you could actually make a full-time career of just participating in game jams. And there's other websites, but I like itch.io because my music is being sold on itch. So if you make a good connection here, you can actually maybe tell the people in your team, hey, I'd love to write custom music for your game in this game jam. But if you need a shortcut, or you just want to grab some music, my music's already on here. Or at the very least, it kind of shows credibility that you're involved in that community. And that's just one of the many places that you can do that. But typically, game jams only last a couple days or a few weeks, maybe a month or two. But it gives you a real hands opportunity to work with other game developers, get a real credit working together, and you're in the trenches together, sweating together. It is the most authentic form of networking I can possibly come up with. And it's all happening live in a really quick amount of time. So it's such a cool way to knock off the reaching out to game devs part of the habits. And then number 2 here, how is this selling VGM packs? Well, after the game jam is done, you didn't sign a contract that the music has to be exclusive. You probably weren't paid for the game jam, so nobody owns it but you. So you might as well take those tracks you wrote, put them in a game music pack, and then sell them on these websites. And now you've hit 2 birds with 1 stone again. And then lastly, document your journey. Who's to say you can't share your experience with the game jam online? Now, there might be some rules. You got to read the rules of every game jam. They're all different. So maybe some of these game jams, if they are in person, they probably don't want you filming the process, or it might be a huge distraction to your creative process and whatever. But what you can do is maybe do a before, a during, and an after video. Maybe you don't have the during, but you do the before and after. But essentially what you're doing is you're just capturing your experience. Maybe you can show some of your DAW session or the final tracks and just talk about the experience. But essentially what we're doing here is we're sharing your journey of the game jam so that other game developers can see it. And you could do all of this in one weekend And now you've knocked out all 3, and that could be a huge boost just to getting more work here at the beginning of your career if you really have nothing. So back to you. What does this mean? Well, which of these 3 habits are you already doing? Comment below and let's chat to see how you might improve. I really want to hear from you. This is a very interesting and fun conversation for me to have. If you want to become a full-time game composer this year in 2025, stop doing everything else and focus on these 3 habits. It doesn't mean you can't go back to the other things you're doing. Maybe like working on mixing, improving your production. Like those are all very important skill sets, right? But if you need work and you really want to turn this into a career, then you've got to focus on these habits. And naturally, what's going to happen is if you force yourself to, connect with game developers, you're probably going to write more music anyway. If you're going to force yourself to document your journey, you're going to get better at those skill sets you need to get better at anyway. But this is a way to focus and to really get your business growing this year. I hope this video is helpful for you. If you have not yet joined the Video Game Music Alliance, we have a free Discord. Come join us. There's a link in the description below for that. You can come introduce yourself and let us know where you're at in your journey here. And really, we'd love to help you along that journey. So thanks so much for watching. Look forward to chatting with you next time.